Hello everyone, I'm Shenyuan Hu, the founder of Immunology and Joint Mobile Fund, and also the program creator of 52 Weeks of Startup. So 52 Weeks of Startup is basically a weekly journal of my journey towards becoming a social entrepreneur. So today I'd like to share basically an incident that happened just this past week with an entrepreneur friend of mine. So she was telling me that there's a certain class that we both attend. There's someone else whom she doesn't like, okay, because they have some negative previous encounters. So she basically would like to withdraw from the class or from the scenarios, the situation. And I basically help her to arrange that so that he will not confront the other person. But I also share with her some of my thoughts, okay, which is, in life, it's easy that we meet some people that we simply are not a great match for. Okay, that someone we may dislike or someone who might give us some negative feelings. And particularly if you are, if you have to interact with people. But we cannot really control what the other person say or do, right? So, essentially it's kind of a lottery. You might meet some people you like or some people you don't like, but it's not really something we can control. But however, we can control how we respond to this, okay, to the situation or scenario. So if you choose to just sort of withdraw from the scene, from the class, from the event, that is actually damaging and hurting our own opportunity or possibility to work, right? So why punish ourselves for something bad or a mistake that this other person is making? It doesn't really make sense, right? So I recall that, this Dr. Viktor Frankl, some of you might know him he was one of the Holocaust survivor in German Nazi camp. And, he's also a psychologist or psychiatrist. And he basically wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that, between the external I forgot the exact words, but he basically mentioned that between an outside stimulus and our response to it, there's a space. And how big of that space is essentially determine how much freedom we have. So a truly free man is not someone, who is not confined. Like in the Nazi concentration camp, their movement, their freedom is a lot restricted. It's restricted, quite a lot. However, how one chooses his or her response towards the situation decides and determines how much freedom this person has. Okay, and that is something entirely we can choose. So after sort of explaining this to her, my friend admit that, okay, it's the negative feeling that she cannot really handle that's bothering her. So she'd rather to avoid the confrontation with the other person. So I taught her a simple technique, which I think I'd like to also share with you guys. It's actually something I learned from Dr. David Hawkins, who's the author of a book called Letting Go. And in this book, he shared a very simple and practical technique everybody can use that can dissipate our negative emotions, which is, when we have something that we feel negatively, we usually have three responses. One is to suppress it. The other is to, like if there is a conference and, you just feel very angry, you want to hit the desk. But because there's, other people, other gentlemen, you cannot really do that. It's not socially acceptable. So you try to suppress your negative emotion, okay? The other response is to let it out. Okay, some people would just hit the desk and, start to shout and be angry, show the anger. That is letting the emotion out. And the third response is actually to redirect attention. Try to avoid that, like going out to watch a movie, read a book, or doing some exercise to redirect the attention. But regardless of whether you're suppressing it, you're letting out, or you're redirecting your emotion, it's actually not effective at addressing the core emotion. okay, which will still be there, and except waiting for another chance and opportunity to occur, to let out. So what's actually helpful is, okay, this is Dr. Hawkins' technique, and I encourage you can try it, which is simply to observe and accept your emotion. Don't judge it, don't suppress it, don't try to say it's right or wrong, okay, but simply observe what are you feeling physically. Like, for example, your neck might feel a bit of tense, you might have a headache, your stomach might feel stressful, right? So all these things, physical responses when we are experiencing a emotion, a negative one, just try to observe it calmly. And even maybe try to describe, like, okay, I am feeling a back pain, I am feeling some chest stress, my arm seems to be a bit tensed, things like that. And the interesting thing is, after you observe yourself for this for a while, actually the feeling, the physical stress actually would dissipate. It's going to disappear. And so is your negative emotion. Okay, so that's a way that you can actually effectively dissipate your negative energy, release them, and actually they will come back as a form of positive energy. You will feel much more energetic and positive afterwards because you've released that energy and now it's for you to use. So that's a very simple technique I learned from Dr. David Hawkins in his book Letting Go, which I also encourage you can have a read. Okay, so that's it. So actually my friend, after she heard this and practiced immediately, she felt much better. Okay, so this is something that just occurred. So I think for all of us entrepreneurs out there, we tend to meet a lot more negativity than maybe normal people and under a lot more stress. So it's important to know how we can deal positively with these stressful and negative, emotions or feelings. So 52 weeks of momentum, 52 weeks of startup, it's actually borrowed from my mentor, Benjamin Hardy. He had a course called 52 weeks of momentum a couple of years back, and I started attending that course in 2018. So that inspired this 52 weeks of startup, which I'm trying to basically record and share what I've learned as a social entrepreneur on my journey to become a quote-unquote social billionaire, which is my aspiration to help over billions of people, during my lifetime. And by recording this, I hope this can also be beneficial and useful to some of our entrepreneur friends out there, whether you are currently one or you are thinking about becoming one. I hope this can all be helpful tips for you. So if you like our program, please do go to our YouTube to subscribe or to like us in our Facebook fan page. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.